Hello, everybody. This is Kelly instead of Lee. Unfortunately, Lee had a family emergency that he had to attend to, so he was unable to join us this morning. However, we're going forward, and our architect guest this morning is Troy Moser of Moser Architecture. So, Troy, I'm going to turn it over to you to give your a little bit of your bio, because since it was last minute, I don't have anything prepared. So I turn it over to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Kelly. I know it kind of put you on the spot a little bit this morning to have to jump in and facilitate this. Lee and I had prepared a little bit of subject matter for the discussion today on Monday afternoon. Obviously not anticipating that something would come up that would keep him from being here. So we can all help Kelly from being too much on the spot by keeping the discussion going together today. Gosh, a lot of you seeing familiar faces and names on the screen here probably know a little bit of my story, but I've been in Las Vegas since the mid 90s. Originally relocated to Las Vegas from Omaha, Nebraska, to work for Clyde Juba, now Clyde Juba Wald. At the time, they were sort of starting back up again. John and Dan were and needed assistance, and so I joined their team for a few years there. Later, moved on to be one of the project architects over at Wynn Design and Development during the design and construction of Wynn Las Vegas. The first phase. My particular areas of involvement were that funky mountain and all those waterfalls and lakes, the retail promenade and restaurants and the atrium garden. All of those things were a fun challenge in the early stages of my career, and I learned a ton working with Glenn and Dee Ryder over there at Wynn Design. And then kind of perfect timing in retrospect. I believe it was May 5th, 2005, opening day at Wynn Las Vegas. I started my own firm. And so with my partner, Brent Seithamel, we started Moser Architecture Studio back in 2005, survived the recession, made it through all of that. And we've been sort of, making it through and also thriving in the hospitality market for the most part for those years. So we're a firm of, we started out as three of us, and we're a firm of 26 now. A few people working remotely, but most of us in the office again post-pandemic, trying to stay busy in the hospitality market, but also sort of spreading our wings a bit and looking to see how we can get involved in other markets, given the kind of the what I believe will be a fairly temporary slowdown on the hospitality side of things. I guess that's kind of the brief intro and bit of history. I'll answer the obvious question. That's not a fake background behind me. That's the real green trees and blue skies of the Nebraska prairies. I'm currently in Grand Island, Nebraska, staying with my in-laws. Not to get too far down this road, but we had a kind of an unexpected tragic death in the family here last week. So we're here in Nebraska this week, supporting the family and being with them to do whatever we can in that regard. But that gives me this beautiful, breezy, sunny 75-degree background to have behind me from my in-laws' porch. So.
Well, thanks for sharing, Troy. Let's get started with the first topic. It says, being an architect with a focus on hospitality, how are resorts handling the design of areas coming out of the post-pandemic? Example, buffets that may be returning.
Yeah, we as as architects, we haven't really gotten into that with the properties to a large degree. They've been handling these, all these. I mean, really immediately after the shutdown, as things were trying to open back up. We did consult with some of our hospitality clients with regards to the plexiglass installations at gaming tables and things of that nature. I think the longer term impact with regards to food and beverage and hospitality projects is still sort of remains to be seen. I think you'll see more hand washing stations. I think you'll see more space in venues and things of that nature. But I think long term, I don't see these sort of barriers and things being a permanent installation beyond what the health department required previously for buffets and things. Now, having said that, will they continue to require servers to dish food in lieu of patrons being able to grab serving spoons and things like that? Those kinds of operational things may very well happen, but I think from a design standpoint, I don't see a huge impact there for us going forward. That in my mind, that it's been an operational impact, right, on both food and beverage and casino operators. We've seen a big impact on our friends, colleagues, and clients in the design and development offices for the various resorts. And as they're starting to come out of this, there's a smaller number of folks carrying a very heavy load right now. So I think it'll be interesting to see how those departments, or if those departments staff back up, or if they turn to us as a consulting community to support those roles at in a more robust way. Like, instead of managing the project themselves at a more detailed level, they might turn all that over to us as a third party, perhaps. We're seeing a little bit of that as they start to rev back up.
Okay. Do you have any insights on how the entertainment is transforming?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We're still not seeing the number of new project requests for proposals that we had in the past. It's still a little slow in that regard. But interestingly enough, probably our most active project type in terms of project requests are in the entertainment area. So as these theaters start to open back up, many of them are doing so with possibility of new shows or modified production teams and adjusted show content. Not to the extent that it creates a long-term sort of pandemic-related impact, such as keeping the performers further away from the audience or spacing audience members out. Nothing like that, so much as it is a matter of, I think some of the production teams and artists are no longer organized in the same way that they were before. Cirque has kind of reinvented itself. Some of the smaller productions didn't survive the downtime, and so as these showrooms open back up, their shows are moving around and occupying new rooms, resident concerts coming back, and that's calling for, in some cases, minor modifications to rooms, but it's creating a little bit of work opportunity for us. So that was interesting to me and somewhat unexpected, because I thought they, most of those shows would try to come back with a minimum investment. So it's it's interesting and exciting to me to see that they're still bullish on Las Vegas entertainment and excited to come back and make a big splash when they do.
Okay. Let me ask about, do you have any insight on manpower shortages and insight on how that might be addressed?
Well, we've been real fortunate. We didn't have to lay anybody off over the course of the pandemic. We managed to keep our team intact. We've been starting to hear from our hospitality clients that it won't be long and things will be ramping back up again. And so that if we have downsized, we need to size back up. That's exciting news, right? So I'm sure there are some firms, either design firms, engineering firms, or contractors that may have had to downsize a bit. And so I think it's exciting that we're hearing that rumbling and hearing that that the workload's going to come back. I think I already kind of mentioned the challenge we're seeing on the design and development department side on the with our hospitality clients. They have definitely downsized, but then again, you've got Resorts World opening up soon. They've got a big team over there that will presumably downsize and move back around within the hospitality arena here within the next year, I would assume. So I don't know that a lot of folks have left the valley. In fact, I think there's a lot of people moving into the valley. So I'm not too worried about staffing and resources going forward. I think that's all gonna play out nicely and hopefully get those folks that have had less employment or unemployment back in amongst the working ranks sooner than later.
Have you, do you notice any requests from your clients to design that might be more efficient so they need less staff?
Well, for sure, we've noticed that our clients are loving the use of virtual meetings to make things more efficient, right? Remove that 30-minute downtime that it takes to get across town. They don't seem to feel the need for the face-to-face meetings. In fact, it seems to be easier to have access to our drawings, our renderings, our technology from our own workstations as we meet remotely with folks. On the other hand, it is nice to be able to go walk a job site again and to be face to face and look at a problem in person or a challenge in person. So those are, I think there are some good things that have come out of all of this in terms of efficiency. And, even before the pandemic, as always has been the case, the faster you do a project, either from design or construction side, you're expected to do the next one even faster, right? So in a way, we're our own worst enemies when we turn things around quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some of our clients that haven't gotten far enough out in front of gearing back up here are going to want things done quickly so that they can get their permits and start their projects. We did see a little bit of activity right at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody thought it was going to be real short term. They wanted to take advantage of the downtime. So we did have to quickly produce some things for permit right at the beginning, but since then it's been more quiet on that end of things. So I think that that expectation of efficiency is going to be there for sure.
Okay, and what about does your client's request for design that might make it easier for them to have a reduced staff? For instance,
Yeah,
if you're dealing with the public and um, pathways through the property or anything like that.
yeah, we haven't seen a lot of that
Oh, okay.
yet. I think food and beverage and entertainment wise, there are our clients are expecting things to come back to normal more or less, right? I mean, we're working on a couple food and beverage projects right now that are really, based on ongoing long-term design and operation principles. Our you know our project over at Area 15. I see Christian Nelson, our director of architecture at Moser is on today. He was project architect for Area 15, and that project, really maintained its momentum all the way through the pandemic. And the tenant spaces were completed as planned for the most part. There was one venue that was planned for build out, that the program changed for, and I believe that to be, there was a small sort of music venue planned that I think was a casualty of the pandemic, just because of the intimate nature of the space and the high occupant load, and also just the demand for the type of spaces and how their customer base has evolved over there. Not that they've been open that long, but they realized, once they did open, that they had a high demand for like private breakout space, party rooms and lounges and things like that. So we have seen that evolve, pandemic related or not. I'm not sure, but that was an interesting evolution for some of that space up on the second floor of that facility. They had sort of Area 15 and the Fisher Brothers team. They had too much momentum behind that project to pause it or to stop it. And turns out they made the right decision, because to me, they've been real successful in their opening months over there, and will become even more successful as their events start to be more consistent and happen more often.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for Troy or comments about what he said so far? I can ask you to unmute, or you can raise your hands or ask in the chat feature if you have any questions.
Yeah, this is Stefan Kort with KEG. Hi, Troy, and everybody
Stefan.
else. Hey, I got a question at the Venetian and Palazzo, because ownership didn't change, but since the passing of Sheldon Adelson and obviously some big changes there, do you see a lot of work coming there? Because we're always doing work there, but it has slowed down during the pandemic, obviously. But what do you see for that big property to come in the next few years?
Yeah, they'll be back doing their normal sort of repositioning and updating of their venues throughout those properties, both on the retail side and the gaming and entertainment side. I don't see that slowing down as a result of Mr. Adelson's passing. Their leadership team over there is the same. They may have had a little bit of turnover and update on the development side, but not a lot, not to the extent that it changes their philosophy and how they approach things. So they're one of those hospitality clients that I think will bounce right back and start their capital expenditure projects again relatively soon. Pretty confident in that.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Troy. Let's move on to, do you have anything that you wanted to talk about with the summit? Las Vegas only private residential lifestyle club.
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that project. it's the summit is located southwest Las Vegas on the south end of Summerlin, just south of Bears Best Golf Course and the ridges there. It's a pretty exclusive high-end residential community membership kind of setup. And it's kind of like the next one-upsmanship of Las Vegas single family residential private club kind of development. A lot of the residents in the ridges and some of those other communities are moving that way. And we were fortunate enough to get involved a couple years ago with the membership clubhouse project there. It's really more of a upscale hospitality project than it is kind of what you would expect for a golf clubhouse. Their membership consists of folks who have homes in multiple destination resort kind of places, be it up north in a ski destination or Hawaii or Cabo or that kind of destination location. Las Vegas kind of has a similar flair to it for them, and these large custom home sites are desirable by that demographic. Being somewhat transient, they offer quite a few amenities in the clubhouse. Spa, massage services. They have a little market in the clubhouse for those folks that live in the own condominiums and live in those that are all right there in the Summit core community. Of course, you've got the golf and the golf house amenities there as well. A restaurant, bar, sushi bar, cigar lounge. It really feels like a mini resort. And it'll be a really nice, really beautiful project when it's completed. That's kind of the second project that's carried us through the pandemic from a workload point of view. Again, being a privately developed project and having too much momentum behind it, and a number of members in the community already anxious for their clubhouse to be built and opened. That project didn't skip a beat through the course of the last year. So that's been a blessing to us, as well as we've been able to keep staff on that project. Unfortunately, most of us on this call will probably never see that clubhouse after it opens, other than possibly, depending on how much they allow it to be photographed in publications, or possibly an awards application or two. We'll see.
Well, I hope to see it in the awards applications. That would be awesome.
Yeah, me too. I hope we'll be able to do that with it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you've already spoken a little bit about Area 15. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us about that project?
Well, for Christian, jump on in here if you want to add anything, but for Christian's really poured a lot of effort with his team into that project, and kudos to Winston Fisher and his vision for that property and that destination venue. It's cool because as a local you can go to it, and there's a number of different things to do there. And so you can go over the course of time a number of different times and do different activities. Gives you some place to take friends from out of town that doesn't necessarily require you to go down to the Strip and get right in the mix of it. They'll have lots of concerts coming up in the near future, art exhibits. They've got this sounds like a commercial for Area 15 right now, but they've got the Van Gogh immersive exhibit coming up in July, here in a couple weeks. They have axe throwing, they have golf simulators, they have virtual reality experiences. There's a little mini roller coaster that hangs from the roof structure in the 2-story spine space that you can ride around if you want to. Bars, coffee bars. There's a food hall, Todd English food hall in the project for food and beverage opportunities there. An old school video arcade. You can go play Pac-Man and pinball and shoot pool and all kinds of good stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, it's worth a look for your next date night.
All right. Christian, did you want to add anything?
Oh, I'm sure people are dialed in to hear Troy, not me. But Meow Wolf is there too, and it's a giant venue and takes up about half that building, and it's definitely not to be missed if you're in town. And all those places have reduced rates for locals, so I'll just carry on the Troy commercial for Area 15. It's a really nice project. It was fun. A lot of heartache and pain over the years to get that done, but it's good to see it there and let people know it's not a dispensary like everyone thought it was for a couple of years.
So Christian, kind of the most interesting aspect of all of that was the collaboration with all the artists, right? I mean, this project was really a collaboration between artists and free thinkers, and every day brought a new challenge and a new idea, and addressing the use of the materials and the different sculptures and finishes and interactive exhibits was something like we've never done in that magnitude anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time you're writing into proposals to as-built art, because you're sending staff out to measure pieces of art that have been purchased from Burning Man or are being incorporated into the building somehow, or you're going to an artist's garage to watch them work and see what materials they're using and try to understand how you're going to submit it to the city. So that was really interesting. Meow Wolf, I'd say about half our time on Meow Wolf was working with the artists and helping them understand what materials they could use in a 1B building like that, and helping them understand why they can't use 10 layers of acrylic plastic from Home Depot. And just helping them work through that was educational for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. We're getting close to the end of our time here, so to respect everybody's time, I'm going to ask: is there any more questions? Do we have anybody that has anything else that they would like to say?
I got a question for Troy. Were you able to play the course up there at the summit?
Hey, Mike. No, unfortunately, I've not yet been able to play the course. And I've, actually, they made it clear to us that we had to be invited by a member, to be a guest out there, and the member has to play with you, right, to even get on the course. So whether or not they'll loosen those restrictions and let us play once before we finish the project remains to be seen, but not yet. I've seen it a lot. Looks beautiful. Haven't been on it yet, though.
Hopefully.
I know, bummer, right?
For you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Troy, in closing, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Oh gosh, probably if you haven't caught the general mood yet, I'm optimistic about Las Vegas and our hospitality market coming out of all of this. I know it was a tough year, but I'm looking forward to being back up to full speed in the next 6 months. If we're not already seeing each other in person, we'll be seeing you all again in person soon, I think. If not by the end of the year for the AIA holiday celebration, perhaps on a job site or somewhere along the ways ahead of that.
Well, thank you very much, Troy. Thank you for taking the time and sharing it with us. I'd like to thank everybody that was our attendees. Thank you for coming. And to give you a reminder that next month, we will be featuring Wade Simpson and Sean Coulter from the Simpson Coulter Studio. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers. See ya. Take care.